What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Schmozone podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by Fusion CBD products, some of the best CBD on their market. I love using their Fusion CBD sports water. We'll be sipping on it during this podcast. Their Cardio CBD Energy Mix, great for the pre-workout. Their CBD Intense Relief Rub, love that stuff. Their Sleep and Recovery Capsules, those Hydro Drops, put that in the morning coffee. It is great. Check them out. FusionCBDProducts.com, promo code Schmo, get 20% off. This podcast is also brought to you by Sheath Underwear, the most comfortable underwear in the world. I love their anatomical isolation pouch. It keeps the family jewels nice and comfortable. Once you try a pair of these underwear, you will never get a normal pair of underwear again. It's the holidays. It's December. Limited time only, 30% off. Not their usual 20%, but 30% off by using the promo code Schmo, sheathunderwear.com, SheathUnderwear.com. Check it out. Let's start this show. Oh, hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Schmozone podcast, episode number 44. I'm Dave Schmulenson, a.k.a. The Schmo. My co-host is...
Helen Yee, sports.
Nothing after sports this time.
No, just want to keep them guessing. You know, sometimes I want to add some spice to it. Sometimes I think there's enough spice.
Speaking of spice, we just finished up a nice long weekend. How was Thanksgiving?
It was great. If you didn't know, David, or the Schmo, is a great cook, a great chef. So your sweet potatoes, mashed sweet potatoes with pecans, that was really good. So good that I had you make it again yesterday.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
And your mom's turkey.
My mom's turkey was great, but we cannot leave out the best part of the meal, which you know it was true. It was
the pie.
The pie was great, but my older brother's home-baked stuffing, that was the best. You know it.
Well, here's the thing. Since I was young, I was never a huge stuffing fan. Like, I actually would rarely eat stuffing and cranberry sauce.
It's about the ingredients. You make them from scratch. You start fresh herbs. You know there's my mom's recipe. She's got a famous chicken soup. They put the chicken stock from the chicken soup into the stuffing. It was good.
I will say it was good, even from someone like myself who doesn't go towards the stuffing as the first thing that I would eat on Thanksgiving.
Yes.
I lean towards the pies.
Yes. So we did a quick little trip to Arizona. We saw Horseshoe Bend.
Finally. I tried to take you there in March, right before everything shut down. Actually, that happened. The trip that I planned for you, the, quote, romantic trip I wanted to plan for you, it happened like right after everything got shut down because we went to Top of the World for your birthday on the Stratosphere. And then that was like the last weekend. And then the following week, we were supposed to go to Horseshoe Bend, and then everything just shut down.
If you haven't seen it, it's absolutely amazing. It's in Arizona, northern Arizona, kind of near the border of Utah, and it's some of the most spectacular piece of land that you can see on this planet. I think it's the very tip of like the Colorado River, where the formation of the Grand Canyon, and just this little structure here surrounded by water, a crater in the world, spectacular sight. Check out the gram on the Schmozone. We posted a photo together, and it's a spectacular sight.
Even though I think photos don't do it justice. No. Like when you get there, I was like, holy crap, it looks even better than photos. But I was surprised how kind of dangerous it could be because there's like no railings. You could literally accidentally like walk off if you're not paying attention.
It's true. I'm sure people have died.
I was sweating.
Yeah. No, you got to be careful, wear the right hiking shoes, and don't be too dangerous. You can live dangerously, but not too dangerously.
Yes.
So we did that. Then we went and made a pit stop over to your favorite fighter's house, Henry Cejudo.
Your best friend, right? No, I'm just kidding.
Whipped out a little game of basketball one-on-one with Henry, and we had a good time.
He's pretty good. He could dunk.
He can dunk.
I was surprised.
Yes.
Go Henry.
Go Henry. And we did a little call out, a 1-year anniversary from, I guess, the time I had done that first call out for a charity grappling competition.
Well, I'm glad you bring that up because I think a lot of people may probably think the same as me where, like, why did you decide to call him out again?
Well, I called him out again because it's a year later. It was never fully addressed. And in this sport, what we're seeing is a lot of people that talk a lot about the sport that are that are too afraid to actually go and do it themselves. It's like when I see what he's doing antagonizing people, like even just recently, we just had the Jake Paul Nate Robinson fight. And then after Jake Paul wins, he starts calling everybody out, the Conor McGregors, the Dylan Dennises. And then you get someone like this person, Ariel, like saying, oh, Dylan Dennis, pillow hands, and making memes about it, poking fun, poking at the bear. So it's like, okay, he could do this to fighters, but then in the media or any industry, he can't handle it when it comes back to him. At the end of the day, it's sport. It's competition. It's for charity. I'm not looking to punch anyone in the face, him in the face in particular. I'm looking to play a little basketball and raise some money for good awareness. I think that the fans, people want to see change in sports, and we're seeing that. That's why YouTubers are boxing in the first place. I think people want to see authenticity. I think it's been very stale in this industry for years, and that's why I created the character in the first place. That's been on record. And why not have a little fun and showcase some of that to the people?
Well, I was surprised by two things. The first thing, which was he did respond to on Twitter.
Of course, on Twitter.
I know. And basically last year he came up to you, and this was kind of part of his response that he came up to you last year or whatever. But it's just like how he's handled it. I'm surprised, like, from what I've observed on Twitter, it's like with some people or some journalists, like he'll kind of banter back and forth, but in a friendly way, right? Even if he's joking. But with you, it's like...
It's not friendly. He feels threatened. It is what it is. He doesn't want to do it. He doesn't want to acknowledge it because it takes shine away from him. It is what it is. I understand it. Maybe we'll just do it once a year, a yearly thing to make it creative something else, but... Look, I think it's all fun and games. You can easily just squash it if you just man up to it like you do for other things, but you want to be behind the scenes and get all sad and pout like you do. It is what it is. I don't really care. Let's continue to go on.
And Henry wanted to see it.
Henry wants to.
He brought that up in the press conference.
A lot of people want to see it. We'll tease with it. We'll have fun, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to antagonize a little bit over time, maybe. Who knows? Who cares? It doesn't make a difference. Let's focus on us. The Schmo must go on. Helen Yee Sports goes on, and it is what it is. He doesn't want the smoke. He doesn't take the smoke. It is what it is.
But someone that wanted the smoke, Mike Tyson versus Roy Jones Jr., I was impressed.
It was amazing. It was fantastic that we watched that fight, also covering the UFC Fight Night with Lionheart Smith back in the win column.
Yeah, great freaking performance by him.
And today's guest, by the way, a week out from Fight Week, Brandon Moreno, UFC Flyweight, fighting for the flyweight bout. I think it's best if we actually get Brandon Moreno in here, and we could even talk to him about the Mike Tyson fight.
Exactly. Why not?
Why not?
Took the words right out of my mouth.
Let's bring in the assassin, baby. Come on in, man.
Hi, guys.
What's up, my man?
Yeah.
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Thank you.
Yeah, we heard your great commentary last weekend.
Thank you.
It was
Thank you
going.
so much, guys.
Yeah, of course. It was going on at the same time as the Mike Tyson Roy Jones Jr. fight, but we were literally, 15 feet away from
Maybe,
you,
yes.
looking at the fights, octagon side. You were loud. You were passionate in Espanol, doing a great job.
Yeah, I mean, I can speak better in Spanish. That's why I have that kind of works. But, I try to do my best job in English, too.
I was telling you before the show started, I studied Spanish for 6-7 years, and it's like you don't use
I
it,
will
you lose
have
it. I'm embarrassed, man.
Well, you did say it in
Lo siento.
No problem. It's fine.
in the Korean Zombie interview. You said poquito, or
I don't.
what do you say?
Poquito.
A little bit.
Poquito,
Yeah.
sorry.
It's fine. I mean, the Spanish is hard. English and Spanish is hard, but it's too important for guys like me to born in Mexico, but I'm trying to work in an American company. I need to learn English.
you've been getting better. And
Thank you.
And don't you notice, like, more opportunities open up the more you speak English over time?
Yeah, I mean, right now, for example, I have like a lot of interviews in English, and when I start with that, was like, oh no, more English. I hate that. But no, right now, I mean, I feel more comfortable.
You're definitely
Yeah, you
good.
sound great.
Thank you.
Is it hard to transition from doing an interview in Spanish to English or going from English to Spanish? Which one's easier for you?
I think depends the people, depends the person, but a lot of people say it's harder to try to learn Spanish, but other people say it's harder to try to learn English. It depends the guy, the people, the other person.
Yeah, it depends where you're born and the education, I guess,
Yeah, for example, for me, I born in Tijuana. It's too close to it's the border with California.
Yeah.
So you cross the border is Chula Vista, San Diego, right there. So a lot of people in Tijuana knows English, a lot.
But it's good to be bilingual.
Of course, yes. I can speak with you guys. Get me another opportunities, and it's amazing.
That's great. I mean, I'm glad you came in studio. You haven't left Vegas. You fought here a couple of weeks ago. You were doing the broadcast this past weekend for the Lionheart Smith UFC Vegas 15. And we are a week out from your fight week. We have UFC Vegas 16 here this week. We have Marvin Vettori against Jack Hermansson. And then we have your fight week.
Headlining.
UFC 256 against the champ, Deiveson Figueiredo.
I mean, all this time. I mean, my life right now is too crazy, because, like you say, I mean, I fought like 2 weeks ago, maybe.
Yeah, a couple weeks ago.
Thanks God, I'm healthy. I'm ready. I'm still in shape. I'm skinny, so I can take this fight against Figueiredo. I mean, it's the fight of my life. It's the fight for the title. It's a dream come true for a Mexican guy like me. But I'm ready. Everything is so fast, but I'm ready to take it.
Let's backtrack a little bit, because we talked a little about this off camera, and I want to get your story out there for the masses, for those that don't know. You, in the summer of 2019, were cut from the UFC. Literally, let's go back for a second. Let's go back. Remember UFC 223, the bus incident, Conor McGregor and his team throwing the dolly in the truck, glass broke. Well, your opponent for that fight card was supposed to be Ray Borg. Ray Borg had the injury. He had to pull out. They had a replacement fight for that. Same person who actually was the last person, one of the last people that you've lost to, was the same one, the Ultimate Fighter, Penteja. So he fought and he got the decision. Then you find out you get cut from the UFC. You go to the LFA. You got one fight. You win the LFA strap. And then literally a month later, maybe, you get the call back to the UFC. You haven't lost, and now you're fighting for the title.
Man, like you say, we say before, we can make a movie of my life right now. We can do it. Why not? I lost 2 fights in a row in the company. Then they released me for the company. A lot of bad things happens after all of that. So problems with money, problems with my daughter. He needed a surgery. So man, I was so sad, like all really disappointment of my life, of my career, because sometimes I don't even want to wake up of my bed. You understand?
Yeah.
But everything was about discipline. Everything was about consistency. And I don't know. I mean, right now I see all these new opportunities all of my life, and I say, man, this life is about sacrifice. My life is a kind of roller coaster, but I love it. I love it because I have too much. I mean, I'm 26 years old, but I know I have too much experience of my life.
And during some of those times, though, those darker times, who helped keep you motivated? And talk a bit about that support system around you.
Definitely my family, my daughters, because my second daughter born in September of the last year. And then my youngest right now my youngest daughter has 6 years old. The middle one has 2 years right now, and the new one, she born in September. She has 2 months. But definitely I get a lot of support from my family, of my parents, of my wife, because man, my wife is a superhero for me. She helped me too much, too much. Right now, she's right now here in Vegas trying to help me. We rent a Airbnb. We are all the team there. She's trying to help me right now. But in that time, helped me too much. Like, hey, we can do it. We can do it, and that happened.
What was that phone call like when you got that call from the UFC brass that saying, hey, we no longer want your services, you're being cut from the UFC? Walk us through that day and what was going through your mind.
And I wanted to cry, to be honest. Man, I think all the people who try to do this sport want to be the best. If you're on the UFC, you are competing against the best guys in the world. So for me, be a UFC fighter is everything. And when in that moment I start to work with my manager, Jason House, and he said, hey, man, I have a bad news for you. UFC's released you like 1 month ago. Everything was like a kind of confused because other people say me like, hey, just stay, you're still in the company, just need to wait a little bit more. But then I start to work with my manager, and he say like, no, man, you are out of the UFC. And man, was sad, but
Was the assumption that the flyweight division was over in the UFC? Was that what the thought was? It wasn't because necessarily you weren't good enough, it was just that they were going to cut this division?
that, and I lost 2 fights in a row,
Right.
so my head was easy to cut.
Of course.
Well, what about after you win that LFA title? Were you surprised at how quickly they called you again, but this time they wanted you back?
That's why I love Jason right now, because he changed my life in that point. Immediately when I beat Michael Perez in LFA, Jason House started talking with the matchmaker, with Mick Maynard, and hey man, just saw his fight. He looks impressive. He's a new Brandon Moreno. I promise. He deserves to be a UFC fighter again. And like 2 weeks after the fight, he told me, hey, can you go to the Mexico City for the card there? Like, man. Of course, I can go there, and that's it. I returned to the UFC in Mexico City last year.
And they gave you a draw. How'd they
Damn
give
it.
you a draw
I
in
know.
Mexico City?
I know. I don't know, man. I don't know what happened with the judges that night, but everybody say, even the people for the people for UFC say watch me that night and say, hey man, you relax. We know what happened in that fight. Just stay calm, and that happens.
And haven't lost since, and here we are. But then we have to backtrack to a couple of weeks ago because the headline fight was supposed to be Cody Garbrandt against Deiveson Figueiredo. Cody had to pull out of that fight. And then you're the number one guy, the number one contender. But Alex Perez, the number 4 guy, gets the nod and gets that fight over you. Man, what the heck's going through your mind in that moment?
Man, a lot of emotions, like confused, like sad, like angry, disappointment. I know Alex Perez has his career in the UFC, in the company. He has, I think he has less time in the company, but the same fights like me. The same number of fights like me. And my point is, he fought against guys out of the ranking. Jordan Espinosa, Mike De La Rosa, Carl John de Tom, the guys who, my career, even my losses was against Sergio Pettis, top 10, Alexander Pantoja, top 10 in that, and my victories against guys from the ranking. My career, I think, is better. I mean, for me, nothing is personal. Nothing is personal. I don't know why the company take Alex Perez first, but for me it was okay. I'm angry, I'm confused, I'm mad, but I need to stay focused in on the new guy, Brandon Royval. I need to stay focused because he looks impressive in his last fights. He's dangerous, and I need to take care of him.
And then after that first round finish of Brandon, when did you find out that you would fight Deiveson for that title, and then also now be that main event?
Was literal immediately, like a few hours after. I won the fight. Then I went to the backstage to do some interviews, and then for this pandemic, it's like do your interviews and then you can grab your stuff and go to the hotel.
Yeah.
You know, it's crazy. I was still in shorts and my fight kit, and let's go to the hotel. We went to the hotel, grabbed our stuff. We went to the house of my manager, and I was eating, like burger, Shake Shack, because in I can cross the border, but in California we don't have a Shake Shack. We have In-N-Out and a lot of different kind of food.
Shake Shack better than In-N-Out?
Man, it's different,
Okay.
because Shake Shack is expensive. It's like a gourmet burger. It's good, it's nice.
Yeah.
But In-N-Out is it's big, and the taste is really good too. I think it's different. So I was eating. I arrived at the house of Jason, and I saw the fight between Valentina and Maya, and then I saw the fight Figueiredo against Alex Perez, and 10 minutes after, maybe 10 minutes after, maybe Jason comes with me with his cell phone. Hey, I have Mick Maynard in the cell phone. Do you want to fight in 3 weeks? Like, maybe. Can I just like thinking just a few minutes? I talked with my head coach. He was behind me, and he said like, hey man, you are in shape. You don't have injuries for this fight. You are ready, man. You are even ready before, so you are ready now. Let's do this. And I said, let's go.
It's crazy how
I
that
know.
unfolded too, because
Yeah.
we were there. We were there at that media tent. We were there for Davidson's press conference. It's kind of like when the buzz came out. Hey, he's going to fight. He's going to defend this thing again. It's in December. Because not long there was this whole buzz with is Peter Yan and Aljamain. Is that going to happen?
Yeah.
We find out that Peter Yan can't come over here
Yes.
to do that fight. It's just amazing how all of that unfolded. And like you said, here we are 3 weeks later. It's less than 3 weeks. It'll be 3
Yeah.
weeks when you fight. Now's your opportunity that you've been waiting so long for.
Man, it's my final goal. After I win the belt, after I need to make a new goals for me. But right now it's my final goal. I'm almost 10 years like professional. It's my final goal. It's a dream come true. Again, it's a dream come true. It's the fight of my life. It's the opportunity to change the life of my family, of even my country, because I will be the first 100% Mexican being the UFC champion. So man, I can change a lot of things.
I like how you phrase that 100% Mexican because the former champ Henry Cejudo's got it in his blood, but yes, here in America.
Man, I don't have problem with the guys has a Mexican blood. I love that people because I have a lot of fans from there. Just you need to put some statement. I don't have the opportunities the guys who born here in the United States has. They has like aggressive programs.
Yeah.
Support from big companies, support from the government. I don't have that. I don't have that.
What did you have coming up? Which wasn't much. So you didn't have that support, what you just mentioned, the sponsorships, the big companies and stuff like that. What did you have coming up through the system you did during your professional career?
Again, like
what the support system you had coming up when you knew you would turn into a fighter, what did you first have coming up? Like, we're talking is it just being in a garage? Is it like, grasslands, hills? What do you got?
My principal sponsor was my father's in Mexico. My father's mom and my dad. I don't had problems like a kid. Like I always had food in the table, even gifts in Christmas. But my father was very poor.
Yeah.
They come from the bottom of Tijuana. They work too much to support me, to support my brothers, and they was my principal's sponsors. Then a lot of different people, like, hey, I can buy some protein for you. I can pay the jiu-jitsu tournament for you. I had like a lot of little sponsors in my life, and I really appreciated that kind of support.
Well, ever since you were young, was your dream to always be a mixed martial artist, or
Nah.
I read something about you had interest in going to law school as well?
At first, when I was
Yeah.
a kid, I talk with my mom sometimes, like, hey, I'll be a famous lawyer in Mexico, and I'll now be the best lawyer in my country, and blah blah blah. When I start to grow up in Mexico, I start to know different stuff. I start this sport very young, as 12 years old. I'm trying to be like a nutritionist, or I try to be like a professor of a sport professor in a school, like that kind of ideas, those kind of ideas. But man, I start to grow up. I'm trying to find some college in Tijuana, but UFC called me for their first development program in Albuquerque, New Mexico in 2014, and I was there for 5 months. Then go back to Tijuana after that, and I say like, hey, I want to be something in this sport. I'm a star. I mean, in that time my record was like 6-3, something like that. I go to Tijuana and start to fight in Arizona, in WFF, and I had 5-0 there. Then I go to the Ultimate Fighter.
And they gave you that number 16 ranking in the Ultimate Fighter, man. I mean, what was your mindset? I know rankings to some fighters mean something, doesn't mean anything at all, but I imagine on that show where rankings give you a seeding and it's a tournament at play, that must have given you some sort of chip on your shoulder too.
Yeah, I mean, I understand, because in that tournament, the Ultimate Fighter was the RFA champion, the Titan champion, Legacy, a huge local promotion.
Tournament of Champions, 2016.
Exactly. So maybe WFF is a small promotion. That's why they give me that number, that spot in the tournament, and it's fine. Never is personal.
Well, looking at your title fight, Henry Cejudo spoke to the Schmo last week, and he thinks that you'll beat Deiveson.
I mean, I know Henry Cejudo. I worked with him for his fight against Formiga, and his fight, the first one against Demetrius Johnson. He's an amazing person, and for me, it's so funny how he try always the character like the Triple C.
Yeah. Because
I know that guy. He's very humble. He's a nice guy. So, but we have a kind of still we have like kind of friendship, like. Like so far, right now I don't talk with him, but we had moments. So man, I really appreciate it. No, I feel happy for that.
Yeah, he thinks your wrestling is going to be the answer against him, and you're going to take him down. But I also went back and I watched that Ultimate Fighter. when he took his guy, his first pick, and it was matched up against you at 16, he was pissed. He was pissed.
Man, it's just, like, I don't know, everybody can say whatever they want from, for example, Conor McGregor. But I remember that the Ultimate Fighter season 22, his first pick was Artem Lobov, because he's his friend, loved Artem Lobov, some stuff happened. Something happened. So, but, I mean, it's fine. It's fine for me.
Well, what do you think about the return of the Ultimate Fighter?
I'm excited.
Yeah.
Actually, the tournament will be in 135 and 185. I have like a training partners can want to be there in the Ultimate Fighter. And it's an amazing stage to show your performance, not your skills. Right now we have the Contender series, and it's nice, but the Ultimate Fighters is different because it's a work of your mind. Stay in the house for 1 month and a half with a lot of cameras all day. You can be a crazy guy in the moment.
It's different, and you just nailed it on the head. And let's get your opinion on that, because it's one thing to fight, and you have to do your practices, you have to get it all in, but there's also a camera crew on you, and there's an entertainment factor, I imagine, and some people want to act differently when the camera's on than when the camera's off. How did you balance that, and how did you notice other people balancing that in your time?
Man, and I remember for example, I tried to go, to the bathroom, and the guy like behind me, like, shh, like, oh no, please stop this. But was too much experience, and again, 26. I have 26 years old, and I have too much experience. I live too much stuff. I'm a young father. I have almost 10 years like professional. I was in the Ultimate Fighter. Man, the Ultimate Fighter can change your life. no, just like in person, like your mentality.
Is there any advice you would give to any future fighters that would be on that show?
Again, please.
Is there any advice you would give to any future fighters that would be on the Ultimate Fighter?
No, that kind of shows is for people who really want to be in the UFC. If you don't have the correct mentality, it's a pandemonium there. You're never alone. You're always with people, with the camera. You need to fight like 2 or 3 times in a row, very close. You're always on diet. It's crazy. You need to. I think my advice is, you need to get the correct mentality to stay there, because it's hard.
For sure. You got to be a dog, and you have to be able to tune out all the distractions, because there's so many distractions, and you got to be able to focus on the task at hand, and the best man wins. The best woman wins.
They cut too much stuff. They cut like
I'm sure.
too much stuff. I remember in that season happened a lot of bad things. But I saw the season in the TV. You need to cut, because and that moment was, I think, Fox Sports. I think so. So a lot of things that can go to the free television. Live in television. So, but it's so funny.
So is there like a part that was captured that wasn't put on TV? That you're like,
man, of course. Like one night, everybody was very drunk, like drunk, and they start wrestling competition, and who lost the wrestling competition? We had a huge a tortilla grab. And they say, like, if you lost the competition, if the guy takes you down, you need to be slapped with the tortilla. Or, for example, the guy who lost, like, very mad, let's go, motherfucker. Ah! Everybody was so drunk. Everybody was laughing. Man, crazy. I remember that moment. Amazing.
And they cut it out.
Of course, because...
Who won the competition?
Team Elliott. Yeah, Team Elliott that won that competition against Hiromasa Hikube, one guy from Japan.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. So, man, you are an underdog. And you're always been
all my
an underdog. And we look at the predictions, other fighters. I mean, Henry Cejudo is one of the few that is saying you're going to beat Deiveson.
Yes.
I know you're a confident guy, and people look at your wrestling, but how do you see this playing out?
I mean, I need to be a smart guy, Everybody say Deiveson Figueiredo is the next superstar of the company. Everybody says the next Demetrius Johnson. But, man, everybody can talk. Everybody can talk. Always, I'm an underdog in my fights, even with Roybal. I was the number 1 in the ranking, and he was the number 6, but I was the underdog in a lot of different communities. They can talk. It's fine. I need to be smart, obviously, because he has power in his right hand. He's in shape. He has cardio. I need to be really smart with him. But at the same time, if you watch my last fights, man, I can compete. I can fight him. I can throw. I can throw some punches on him. He looks strong, but I'm strong too. I don't have abs, but I'm strong. I'm strong like more than other guys. So, man, we'll see what happens in December 12th. I'm so excited.
And you are the babyface assassin, but I like the
baby
new
assassin.
nickname.
Baby
the baby assassin.
Yeah.
But I like the new nickname too, the Mexican McLovin.
I just laughing about that. Daniel Cormier gave me that nickname. I remember when in my debut in the UFC against Luis Smolka, he said that on TV, like, okay, it's fine. It sounds good. And a lot of people in social media, for example, say that, like, Mexican McLovin is funny. No, I'm the assassin baby, but it's nice to be.
Well,
that
did
guy.
you like that movie? Superbad?
It's amazing. You don't love that?
It's a great movie.
It's a
It
great
is,
movie.
yeah.
We watched it again the other night.
When I was a teenager, it was like so funny to watch that movie.
Except McLovin did not nearly have the body that you have, the muscles, and you do have you're like Arnold Schwarzenegger in his prime compared to McLovin. Like, just looking at the bodies compared.
Arnold Schwarzenegger, McLovin sounds good.
And the prime. So, yeah, I mean, look, Yeah, he's the favorite, right? And he's got the power behind him. He's got the name. He's got the glasses. He's showing everything like that. But
He has money now.
He's got money now.
He can wear fancy.
Dana handed him the $50K in cash right there.
I talked with my manager, and I say like, hey, tell with them, I want my 50 G's, not in a gift bag. Come on, I want a backpack. Looks more gangster.
A backpack. Yeah, absolutely. 100%. That would be great.
And all this is happening right after your 27th birthday.
I know.
Weekend. Happy early birthday.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. My wife say, you never can eat well in your birthday. And it's fine.
But
I don't
after.
care. After, yeah.
What amazes me too about the fight is both of you guys are literally coming off like pretty much injury free and in great shape a few weeks later. So we're going to see both of you at your absolute best. And that doesn't happen very often in MMA.
I know, and it's great. And I respect Deiveson Figueiredo because he take the fight very soon, you know. And other champions, you know, take time, go for vacations, everything well, and it's fine. I need vacations too. But respect for Figueiredo, no?
You just came from PT at the PI,
Yeah.
and I know he's training at the PI. Have you guys overlapped yet? Because I know it's
No.
bound to happen.
They don't permit that. You know, all the people in the performance say like, "Hey, just stay here, just one moment, please," because maybe he's running a run in some place, you know. Or I went to PT and then I went to the locker room, say, "Hey, you need to stay here just a moment," you know, and then you can come. And it was like weird because for me it's like, you know, it's not. Actually he says personal, but I don't know why. But for me, no. I'm always like relaxed, you know.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that because he did say that after the press conference,
It's
right?
personal. Yeah, why would he say that?
I don't know.
There's
I
no
don't
history?
know. I think I think that happened because he needs other people speak for him. Maybe he. I don't know. Walid is always like Figueiredo is like say like 2 or 3 words, and Ali responds. Walid responds like 14, 15 words. I don't know what happened there. I don't know what. I mean, I know he's trying to sell the fight.
He's the ultimate hype guy, and he knows it too. It's funny though. It's like he takes something, let's say Deiveson says something, and then he just fabricates. He adds. It's like adding a tall tale to it. The Paul Bunyan story for Deiveson Figueiredo and his message.
Man, and maybe he's trying to sell tickets for the boss. It's fine. I mean, maybe he needs money. You know, he needs money. He loves money, but for me, it's not about money. It's about glory. It's about history. You know. Again, be the first 100% Mexican to be the flyweight champion of UFC. I mean, it's more important for me.
And I know you're close with your manager, Jason House. And also, this would be his first client in the UFC to have a gold strap. That's what we're looking for Iridium Sports, the agency. They're looking for their first gold strap in the UFC. That could be you.
I mean, it's my first time working with a manager. You know, it's hard in Mexico to get that kind of opportunities. First time working with a manager, with Jason. I mean, for me, he changed my life, you know. He changed my life. I love him because he put a lot of attention on me, helped me too much in a lot of stuff, even not just in the fight, you know, in other stuff, you know. So I love it. I really appreciate all his support, all his work with me.
Shout out to Jason House.
Yeah, shout out to him. Shout out to his whole team. To
all
Ed,
the team.
to Jacob Parga.
Jacob, Jeremy. You know, even his wife, Alisa, she helped me too much too, you know.
Did you stay with them during fight week? Was that
last time,
the last
yes.
fight week?
Last time
against Royval,
I was there.
You stayed with them.
Yes, and for this I rented an Airbnb because I bring my family here with me, you know. My wife can't stay 2 more weeks along with my kids.
Yeah, you got to take some of those father responsibilities.
Exactly, man. Exactly.
Well, sorry. Earlier, when David mentioned that Deiveson was initially supposed to fight Cody Garbrandt at UFC 255, just want to get your thoughts on Cody's eventual move to flyweight. Like, how do you think he would do?
To be honest, obviously I was sad, but at the same time, I understand, because he was talking about to move to the flyweight division, and the situation right now with the pandemic. I mean, the company needs to sell some pay-per-views. He's a former champ. He has the name. He has the followers in social media. Blah blah blah. I understand.
Do you think he would do good in the flyweight division?
I mean, I think he needs to make weight first. Obviously, he say he's always light. He's in 147, 148, but when you never cut that kind of weight before, the first cut weight is hard. He need to prove he can make. In my opinion, he need to prove he can make weight first and then go for the title. But again, never personal. The decision of the company. I understand his position. This pandemic is crazy for everybody. He need money. They need money. Sorry.
So if you earn that gold strap a week from Saturday, 256, you don't care who the next opponent would be, who you would defend that title against. It doesn't matter the name they put in their face. It's not like, oh, it's got to be this person, they're ranked, so on and so forth. It could be this person, they sell tickets. It's whichever person they put in front of you.
I don't care. I mean, I know, and I imagine UFC wants Cody Garbrandt fighting for the flyweight title. So I think is the next one. But I don't know. I don't care. Can be the rematch against Figueiredo. I can be Askarov. I don't know.
Well, Askar, he just got booked against Joe Benavidez today.
That's true. It's an amazing fight. It's an amazing fight. I have too much respect for Joe because he's another coach of my life. Actually, when I see you, I always is like, "Hey, coach, how you been?" He's my coach. I never say like Joe. I have too much respect for him. He helped me too much in the Ultimate Fighter because I lost the first fight, and that tournament, that season of the Ultimate Fighter was like a training camp for me. I learned so much from him, from Danny Castillo. I remember Juan Archuleta, Dwayne Ludwig, even T.A. Dillashaw was there. I learned too much for all my team, and I really appreciate it.
Who's been the favorite person that you've worked with throughout MMA so far? Like, not someone who's on your team right now, but someone maybe you've called in for sparring, or just someone that you've had time when you've stopped in a gym, when you're on the road, that you've had time to learn from. Is there a name that stands out to you?
I had too much experience training with another guys, For example, in New Mexico, I trained with John Dodson. John Dodson in that moment was in his prime. Yeah. I think really close for his rematch against Demetrius Johnson. I don't remember very well. I trained before with Ali Bagautinov, former contender, title for contender, with Damasio Page. I trained, with T.A. Dillashaw. I trained with the guys in the Ultimate Fighter, with Tim Elliott, with other guys, with Joe Benavidez, with Henry Cejudo too. I mean, I think I have more time training. I had more training with Joseph Benavidez. He learned me a lot of stuff, too much stuff, And I really appreciated all the time of all the guys who teach me something. But I think Benavidez is like is a teacher in my life, definitely.
Now, as you came into the show today, we were talking about the Mike Tyson, Roy Jones Jr. I know you were working the Spanish commentary this past weekend, but did you get a chance to maybe see replay? No,
sorry. I mean, everybody say the fight was nice, was even good.
Yes.
I need to see the fight, but man, I saw the videos in social media from Mike Tyson. He looks amazing. He can beat everybody right now.
He looks fantastic. Shout out to the UFC, because not only do they put on amazing fights every single week during this pandemic, but they also had that fight on the screens for us to watch too. So we're able to get the best of both worlds and see the live fights and that Mike Tyson card. And Mike looked good. I know it's boxing, and they gave it a draw, no winner. Both of them are winners.
Was a kind of exhibition, no, or not?
It's an exhibition for sure, but they didn't stop the fight. They apparently they would have stopped the fight if there was a cut or if there was a knockout, because you couldn't knock anybody out. But they didn't stop the fight. None of that happened. They both had their moments, but Mike Tyson outstruck him for sure. More significant blows for sure, and they both look good. They both look really good.
Man, and a lot of respect of Roy Jones too, because everybody was talking about the return of Mike Tyson, but you need two people for a fight, Roy
Yeah.
Jones.
And what was the undercard? The interesting thing about the undercard of that fight, it's everyone is now talking about this because now they're trying for what say whatever you want about these kids. Have you heard of the Jake Paul and the Logan Paul brothers? Are you familiar with these kids?
Just right now.
Just right now, exactly. These kids are these YouTubers, but they're getting now the combat sports community to talk about them because they're calling out Dylan Dennis. He's calling out Conor McGregor. This Jake Paul kid, after he knocks out the 3-time NBA slam dunk champion, former NBA player Nate Robinson. My question to you is that boxing's a sport. I feel like it needs this, man. I feel like it not necessarily it needs this because it needs it for the sport. The sport's an amazing sport, but because there's so many different promotions in boxing, there's so many different heads to feed and everything like that. The disproportion between the people at the top and the people at the bottom, there's no balance. And the politics, man. That's why you see a draw at the end result of a Mike Tyson and a Roy Jones Jr. fight. I feel like they put themselves in a position where they've now welcomed these YouTubers because they want the views.
Maybe, man, I had this conversation with with my boxing coach too many times. I mean, everything has his good things and his bad things, For example, UFC is amazing because they have all the most amazing athletes in one place, and UFC can make the best fights for the people, for the fans, At the same time, maybe the money is hard, It's different. For example, Canelo Alvarez fighting for millions, But with boxing, we had the opposite side, The promoters try to defend his fighter, They never fight with the best guys,
I mean, the fight to make, you look at a division like the welterweight division. Helen and I have talked about this so many times. Helen's brought this up in interviews with these two people I'm going to mention, Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence. I know you've brought that up to Errol Spence before, and those are the two best fighters in welterweight. But yet we might not see that fight ever, or if we do, it'll be a couple years down the line. It'll be late, just like when we saw Pacquiao and Mayweather. Too late, and it wasn't as good of a fight as it could have been a few years before. Now, when it comes to those YouTubers and all that, if they actually fought people in combat sports, in MMA or boxing or whatever, there's no competition. You're not watching anything. They get obliterated. They get knocked out. First round, second round, if they're lucky to survive to that. But them fighting like former NBA players, it could be an NFL player, baseball player, they're building intrigue in a sport because this sport has been so corrupt for so long and they've been broken, and the system needs to be fixed. Otherwise, this is going to continue.
Yes, man. But, I mean, always everybody say the same, but at the end of the day, the people talk about the fight. I don't like this and I don't like this kind of fights. But the people watch the fights.
Exactly. And
That's
that's what
true.
they want. They want you to talk about it like we're doing on this show right now. They want you to talk about it. They want it to be a conversation piece, and that's what it is. And then you get Sports Center showing it up on their top 10 place because they feed into it. And that's why I think that what those kids are doing is genius because they're getting people talking about it.
I mean, and obviously, I don't know the real level of Jake Paul because he fought against a basketball player,
Right. And we saw him actually, I actually saw him work and stuff like that. Like,
Okay.
look, against the basketball player, his level's here. The basketball player's here. But you put him against professionals, it's not there. It's not, I mean, he's 23 years old. It's going to take more than 3 years. It's not there right now. So if he walked in a room with an MMA fighter or a boxer, I'll take the MMA fighter or the boxer 10 times out of 10 right now.
Daniel Cormier say he thinks he would beat
Dylan
Dennis?
Dennis. That's why I want to see Dylan Dennis take
in a
him.
boxing match.
In a boxing match.
Yes, I believe that.
You believe that?
Yes, Dylan Dennis is bad with his striking. His striking is bad. His jiu-jitsu is amazing. It's top level.
I agree.
It's amazing level.
But you don't think if he trained for 6 months to a year, it's not like he's never worked on his boxing before.
I never see before Dylan Dennis throwing real punches.
I see. There it is. This is it. This is you adding the intrigue into it. Because I went on statement. I said MMA fighters and boxers. Here you are saying there's some MMA fighters.
But just my only question is why is always the MMA fighters trying to go to the boxing? It's always the same. Why the boxing guys don't go to the MMA.
Well,
because
Clarissa Shields, she just signed with PFL.
respect for
Yeah.
her.
I think, and that's a great point. I just think it's a money thing. I think, look, at the end of the day, people are, as a combat sport, you can attest to this. Your shelf life is only so long. You can only be a fighter for X amount of time in your life. You got to capitalize on these opportunities, build that brand, market yourself as much as possible, get that bag of money when you still can fight, and then retire early and build a great life for your family and children.
Siempre es por dinero. Always is for money.
Dinero, money.
Dinero.
Siempre is always. See, I got
I
it.
remember that now.
I when you use it, you can hear it. I understand. Yo comprende un poquito.
You understand a little bit?
Yeah.
Nice. Perfect.
That's all there, man. That's all there. Well, man, what is there anything else that you want to get out there to the audience? I want them to see you, man, because you don't get enough love in this sport. You're a great fighter, and I'm glad you're getting this opportunity. We were blindsided when you didn't get the call up, for the when Cody Garbrandt came out. Not blindsided, that's the wrong word, but we didn't expect that. If the rankings matter, we didn't expect that. But I guess, here's the opportunity.
Man, again, my life is a roller coaster. Sometimes I want to cry and sometimes I want to cry, but for because I'm happy. But it's about sacrifice. It's about discipline. It's about who wants this opportunity more than other guys. I work too much since I was a kid. I start to work a lot of in this sport, for my future, to stay here in the big stage, talking with you has the glory, be a kind of famous, but not just to be a famous, because if you are good in something, you are famous. So I wanna be famous because I'm good. I'm good doing this. I'm good in this sport. So man, thank you for your space. Thanks for talking with me, guys. Really appreciate it. I know the fight is hard. I know Figueiredo looks impressive, but give me the opportunity. Just why I can't try to change my life. Just give me the opportunity. We'll see what happens in December 12th.
It's a great
Well
mindset.
said, yeah.
I love it, and you're right. No, focusing on being your best at what you can control, and then the rest will come. Focus on being the best you at what you do, and then the money and the opportunities will follow.
Fuck the money, glory.
Yes,
the glory. Chasing history.
Exactly, change history. The money come after.
Of course. What I meant is that the money's going to come not from you chasing it by you chasing your glory, you being the best. The money's going to come. It will be
Yes,
there.
sir.
Yes,
sir.
it will. Also, wanted to give you a fresh pair of underwear from Sheath. It's our
Early
sponsor.
birthday gift.
Early birthday gifts. You can't leave
Nice.
here
Look
with
this.
unattended.
I love it.
Protects
I
you with
love
a
it.
pouch. Absolutely. Helen, final thoughts. Schmozone episode 44.
Well, thank you so much for coming on our show.
Thank
You
you,
deserve
guys.
everything, and we're truly so happy to see you headline UFC 256.
Appreciate it again for the space, guys. I really appreciate it.
Of course, man. Buy those pay-per-views. Co-main event for that is Tony Ferguson, Charles Oliveira. Man, he's fighting underneath you. Tony Ferguson.
I'm really fan of Tony Ferguson, and he's the co-main event of my event. Dream come true.
Kukui. All right. That is the assassin baby, Brandon Moreno. The Schmozone episode 44. We are out.